It wasn't that he was saying something wrong. Actually, he was telling the complete truth. For the past few days, she had been feeling pain in her ribs. It wasn't too much, but it was true. Whenever the mayor's daughter felt a slight breeze, she would feel something different, and she used to think, if only someone was with her, someone to whom she could tell this. She was just a 16-year-old girl who didn't understand what she was feeling. Just thinking about it made her confused. At first, she thought that this feeling would go away with time, but now the pain was increasing even more. She couldn't even tell anyone about it. Since she hadn't ever told anyone about it, how did he know? She had come to this school thinking that by solving her problem, she would be able to focus on her training. David softly said, "I am a teacher. I can tell just by your posture." The truth was, it's impossible to tell something like that just from someone's posture. The library of heaven is truly a magical gift. As long as someone has a flaw, it will be recorded in their book. Whether the flaw has anything to do with karate or not, and since he had read all the flaws, he was surprised. "Is there any cure?" Grace asked, lowering her head in shame. She had come to catch his trickery, but here she was, feeling embarrassed herself. "There is a way. Come to class tomorrow, I'll tell you there," David said by stepping back. Grace was truly astonished. She knew very well about her pain, which is why she was always angry and irritable. She thought there was no cure for this problem. She had never even dreamed that a teacher at school would understand her pain so easily and even offer a cure. David said in a firm voice, "If you don't trust me, you can learn from another teacher." Grace quickly said, No, I'll learn from you." It had only been 2 days since she had come to the school. No doctor had been able to tell her the cure, but David had figured it out in just one glance. He was indeed a good teacher. David looked at Magical Eye Pearl and asked, "Do you still want to keep her?" pointing his finger at her. Grace now remembered Mani. "Let me explain about Mani. Its another name is Mani. It's magical. Mani, it's like spy camera in today's world. The Mani's same work at here. All the things that had happened here would now be recorded inside Mani. If anything from this spread in the school, she wouldn't be able to show her face anywhere." No. She applied a little force and broke Mani. Then she looked at David. Was he angry? But there was a mysterious expression on his face. She had hidden Mani, but still she got caught. How could someone so capable score 0? Maybe he truly didn't care about fame. Many great people have the same thought. With this thought, Grace removed David's name from the list of deceivers in her mind and added it to the list of the world's greatest experts. David saw that he had gained another student and said, "Take your token. You will get a bed and books, and you'll also have to arrange your own living. Class will start tomorrow." Suddenly, there was a loud noise and a man came running in. He was hefty and looked dangerous. "Madam," he said, bowing to Grace. "Uncle, why did you come?" It was Grace's servant, whom her friends had gone to find. He was about to leave after dropping Grace off at school when her friends told him that Grace wanted to become a student of the teacher with 0 points and that this same teacher had made Grace clean up. Upon hearing this, the servant turned red with anger. "Madam is the beloved daughter of the mayor. No one at home has the courage to order her around and he made her clean? Cleaning the bathroom? How dare he? Even if he's a good teacher, no one has the right to do such a thing. But this man nearly drove a student mad. How can Madam become his student?" Looking at David, he said to Grace, "Madam, what about you?" Grace said, "I have already accepted him as my teacher." As soon as he heard this, he grabbed David by the collar and said, "Take Madam's name back right now and then apologize to her, or I'll tell everyone in the school that you've used magic on a little girl." "You're not exaggerating a bit, are you?" David replied. "And if they hear this, who knows what they'll think? God knows I've only admitted a student, that's all. There's no game going on with me. Madam is very talented. What will teachers like you teach her? If you let her go now, I'll drop the matter here. Otherwise, I'll go to the school head and have you expelled from the school." The servant stormed in. Grace tried to stop him. "Uncle, what are you saying? I've chosen him as my teacher of my own will. Why are you making things difficult for me?" She was just about to find the cure for her pain, the reason she came to this school, and now this servant was ruining everything. What is going on? "Of her own will?" The servant gasped. "Do you really think this man can give you advice? Advice!" Grace shook her head. David had only pointed out her flaw, not given advice. "No," the servant continued. "Grace, stop it now." "Uncle, enough of the interrogation," Grace said firmly. The servant was shocked to see Grace like this. Then his gaze fell on the broken pieces of the gem. Seeing them, he became furious. You cheat! What have you done to Madam? Do you think I'll let you live?" Boom! The wind began to howl in his anger, and the ground started shaking. "What did I do?" David was dumbfounded, seeing the servant so furious. He could understand why this misunderstanding had grown. After all, without giving any advice, he had convinced Grace to become his student, and now she was feeling embarrassed. The broken pieces of the gem, its mean money, were scattered on the ground, clearly showing that there was an attempt to destroy evidence. All of this pointed to the fact that something was wrong. David was being called a pervert, madman, and shameless, among other things. "Uncle, what are you thinking saying all this? If you keep talking like this, I won't tell you anything further," Grace said. Seeing the servant so angry, it wasn't hard to guess what he was thinking. She was mortified with shame. She was still young, and such rumors could ruin her reputation. At Grace's scolding, the servant had no choice but to calm down. "Madam," Grace said as she left the classroom, "let's go and make arrangements for my stay. I have to come to class tomorrow." Grace didn't want to reveal her flaw under any circumstances. If they kept interrogating her like this, she would have to tell. How could she tell anyone such a thing? When she could find no other excuse, she could only say that she had chosen David as her teacher on her own. The servant cast a disgusted look at David and followed Grace. He still wanted to kill David. If Grace hadn't stopped him, he would have done so already. "What did I do?" David wondered, baffled as the servant glared at him. "I've only taken in a student. I haven't committed a crime." The servant spoke as if David was the root of all evil. David hadn't done anything wrong. "Never mind, there's still time. Let's see if I can find more students. The more there are, the more resources I'll get." The teachers at the school were on different levels. Each year they were evaluated based on how many students they had, how much the students had improved, their results, and other such qualities. The higher the level, the more resources the teacher would get, and their students would benefit too. This meant that both the teacher and the student would be able to advance to the next level together. If he wanted to improve, he had to keep gathering students. "Don't be sad, Dave. Only Verma Sir rejected you. You can still find another teacher." Two boys were standing on the sidewalk talking. The one standing in front was comforting the other. "Patrick, you became his student, so you don't know what it feels like to be rejected," Dave said, frowning. "Don't say that. There are many good teachers at this school, not just Verma Sir. If not him, then become someone else's student. Verma Sir isn't the only one." "That's easy for you to say. We've been learning how to throw spears since childhood. Now it's become a part of our body. We can't learn a new technique. Verma Sir is the only spear expert at this school. He accepted you as his student and rejected me. How can I not be sad?" Dave said in despair. Patrick didn't know what to say. The school had different teachers with expertise in different techniques. Some were experts in posture, others in swordsmanship. Verma Sir was an expert in spears and one of the best teachers at the school. Both had applied, hoping to become his student, but one passed and the other failed. It was natural for the one who failed to feel sad. "Look, there's a class over there. Let's go check it out," Patrick said, trying to cheer Dave up. Dave refused. "I don't want to go." "Come on, just take a look. What if this teacher also knows how to throw spears?" Patrick persuaded him. "There's no harm in checking it out." Dave didn't want to go, but he still followed his friend. "Let's go." David was sitting in that class, just about to go outside to look for more students when he saw two boys coming in. Patrick said, "Hello, sir." David, surprised, replied, "Are you here to meet the teacher?" Patrick continued, "Yes, this is my friend. He's very talented, especially in spear throwing. Since childhood, he's participated in many competitions and has won all of them. I hope you'll accept him as your student." Dave pulled Patrick's hand and whispered, "Patrick." Patrick turned back and asked, "What?" Dave unhappily said, slowly to Patrick, "Look around. The class is very small, only big enough for 10 students." It really was quite small. The size of the class depended on the teacher's capability. A good teacher could have a class as big as a football field, with hundreds of students. Compared to that, this class was just a handful. The teacher must be terrible, judging by the size of the class. Patrick, seeing the size of the class, said, "It's very small." He only wanted to help his friend, but had come here in a hurry. If the teacher wasn't good, it would only increase Dave's pain instead of reducing it. Unaware of the conversation between the two friends, David said, "Show me your technique." Seeing the expression on Dave's face, Patrick tried to encourage him. "Now that we're here, let's take the sir's advice. There's no harm in it. If the advice is useless, we'll leave." Dave nodded. Except for the most famous and capable teachers, when teachers tested the students' talents, the students also tested the teacher's capabilities. After thinking for a moment, Dave took out the spear he had strapped to his back, joined the pieces together, and made it whole. The moment he took the spear in his hand, Dave's stance changed. Like the edge of the spear, his form became intimidating. As he swung the spear, the wind began to rumble. Experts could be identified by their first strike. Dave wasn't very powerful, but he wielded the spear exceptionally well. As the spearhead hit the wall, a spark flew, leaving marks on the wall. 110.